I'm Hope Logan. I'm an actor on Bold and the Beautiful, and many people really love both me and our Bold and the Beautiful drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved Bold and the Beautiful. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. The upcoming week in The Bold and the Beautiful promises a storm of emotions, shifting loyalties, and secrets ready to explode in every direction. From May 4th through 8th, the atmosphere across Los Angeles feels increasingly tense as Sheila Carter edges closer to another sneaky scheme. A disturbing revelation shakes Dylan's world, and Hope Logan stands at a crossroads that could change her future forever. Beneath it all, relationships are tested, hidden feelings resurface, and old rivalries threaten to ignite once again. Every corner of Forrester Creations seems to be holding its breath, waiting for the next shockwave to hit. And as each storyline begins to collide, the stakes grow higher than ever before. At the center of the emotional turmoil, Katie Logan Spencer steps into a guiding role in Will Spencer's complicated love life. While she shows genuine sympathy for Will after Ivy Forrester's manipulation, Katie also believes he cannot stay stuck in uncertainty any longer. She pushes him toward taking control of his future, especially if he truly wants Electra Forrester back in his life. Katie suggests that only a bold, heartfelt grand gesture might be enough to win Electra's trust again. But the situation is far from simple, because Will must also confront the lingering emotional damage tied to Electra and RJ Forrester's past connection. That unresolved history still casts a shadow over everything, making forgiveness far more difficult than it seems on the surface. Meanwhile, Electra herself is not as emotionally free as she may appear. Despite the confusion surrounding her feelings, she continues to secretly share intimate moments with RJ behind closed doors, revealing that her heart is still torn in more than one direction. This hidden connection complicates everything further, leaving Electra at a dangerous emotional crossroads, where every choice risks breaking someone's heart. Will's hopes, RJ's lingering presence, and Electra's uncertainty all intertwine into a fragile situation waiting to collapse. Before anything can truly move forward, Electra will need to face the truth about what she really wants and who she truly belongs with. As this emotional triangle unfolds, a far more unsettling mystery erupts around Dylan. A shocking revelation comes to light when Dylan's mysterious phone stalker takes a terrifying step, hiding behind a dress rack at Forrester Creations before suddenly jumping out to scare her. The moment is filled with fear and confusion, but what follows is even more disturbing as the truth behind the stalker begins to surface. Once the identity is exposed, unexpected twists emerge that completely change the direction of the story. If Remy Price turns out to be the person behind the harassment, then the situation becomes far more personal and complicated than anyone could have imagined. Spoilers hint that Remy may have a deeper connection to another character, raising the possibility that he is not just a random threat, but possibly a long-lost half-brother who once shared a troubled history with Dylan. The idea that he may have tormented her even in childhood adds a chilling layer of emotional darkness to the unfolding drama. At the same time, Hope Logan faces one of the most defining decisions of her life. Pressure builds as she begins seriously considering leaving Forrester Creations behind in favor of a new opportunity at Logan, encouraged by Katie's tempting proposal. The possibility of a fresh start grows stronger as Bill Spencer steps in with confidence, believing he may be able to help secure Hope's exit from her current contract. With the support of his powerful legal team, Bill even considers the idea of restarting the Hope for the Future line under the Logan umbrella, giving Hope both independence and a new creative direction. But while this opportunity feels exciting, it also opens the door to major conflict, especially within the Forrester world. Liam Spencer becomes increasingly worried as he watches Hope weigh her options, fearing the emotional and professional fallout that could follow. His concerns extend beyond business, as he worries deeply about Hope's strained relationship with Brooke Logan Forrester and the explosive reaction that would likely come from the Forrester family. Liam is especially uneasy about the possibility of old tensions reigniting between Hope and Steffi Forrester Finnegan, a rivalry that has caused endless turmoil in the past. Even so, despite his fears, Liam ultimately acknowledges that the decision belongs to Hope alone. In the end, he chooses to support her, even if it means stepping into another wave of emotional chaos. If Hope does move forward with leaving Forrester Creations, the backlash is expected to be immediate and intense. Brooke, Steffi, Ridge Forrester, Zende Forrester Dominguez, and even Eric Forrester are likely to see her decision as a betrayal, setting the stage for heated confrontations and emotional confrontations across the entire Forrester family. What begins as a professional decision could quickly spiral into a deeply personal conflict that divides loyalties and reshapes relationships. The emotional fallout promises to be powerful, with no one left untouched by the consequences of Hope's choice. Every alliance will be tested as resentment and disappointment ripple through the family. Finally, just as these emotional storms build, Sheila Carter prepares to re-enter the scene with her own hidden agenda. Her presence signals trouble on the horizon, particularly for Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes, whose growing relationship may soon come under serious threat. Sheila's intent to carry out a sneaky sabotage plan hints at yet another wave of manipulation and chaos waiting to unfold. As always, her return brings uncertainty, danger, and emotional disruption wherever she goes. According to spoilers, Sheila will soon move forward with her scheme, setting the stage for even more explosive drama in the days ahead. As Sheila Carter quietly reemerges from the shadows, the sense of unease spreading through Los Angeles begins to deepen in ways no one can quite fully grasp yet. Her return is not loud or obvious at first, but rather calculated, patient, and unsettling, like a storm gathering strength before the first strike of lightning. While Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes continue to try building something stable and meaningful together, there is an invisible pressure forming around them that neither of them can fully explain. Sheila's mind is already working ahead of everyone else, piecing together opportunities where trust can be broken and emotions can be exploited. What makes her even more dangerous this time is the quiet confidence she carries, as if she already knows exactly how the situation will unfold. Every step she takes feels deliberate, as though she is carefully positioning pieces on a chessboard only she can see clearly. At Deacon's side, there is a fragile hope that his past with Sheila no longer has any control over his present life. His connection with Taylor feels like a chance at redemption, a path toward stability after so much chaos and emotional damage. Taylor, in turn, believes she is finally stepping into a healthier chapter, one built on honesty, healing, and emotional safety. Yet, even in their most peaceful moments, there is an unspoken vulnerability that lingers beneath the surface. That vulnerability becomes exactly what Sheila seems determined to exploit, as if she is watching and waiting for the smallest crack to appear. The more Deacon and Taylor try to strengthen their bond, the more the unseen tension around them quietly grows, hinting that their happiness may not be as secure as it seems. Back at Forrester Creations, the emotional turbulence surrounding Hope, Electra, and Dylan continues to ripple outward, affecting nearly everyone connected to them. Hope's looming decision creates an atmosphere of anticipation and fear, as the possibility of her departure feels less like a rumor and more like an approaching reality. The idea of losing Hope not only shakes the foundation of Forrester Creations, but also forces everyone to reconsider what loyalty and legacy truly mean in their world. Stuffy and Ridge, in particular, are already preparing for the confrontation they believe is inevitable, bracing themselves for what they see as a betrayal that cuts deeper than business alone. Even Eric, with all his experience and history, senses that this moment could mark a turning point that permanently alters the balance within the company. Meanwhile, Electra's emotional instability continues to grow more complicated as her secret connection with RJ refuses to fade into the background. Each hidden moment they share only adds weight to the decision she keeps postponing, making it harder for her to face Will with complete honesty. The longer this emotional triangle remains unresolved, the more fragile it becomes, as if it is one conversation away from collapsing entirely. Will's determination, RJ's presence, and Electra's uncertainty form a tense emotional loop that no one seems able to break. And as Katie pushes Will toward action, the pressure increases, forcing everyone involved closer to a breaking point they may not be prepared for. In the midst of all this emotional chaos, Dylan's situation continues to send shockwaves through Forrester Creations, especially as the identity of her stalker begins to reshape everything she thought she understood. The fear she experienced during the dress rack incident does not simply disappear. It lingers, echoing through her every interaction and making her question what other dangers might still be hidden in plain sight. If Remy Price is truly connected to her past in a more personal way, the emotional impact of that revelation could be even more devastating than the stalking itself. The idea that someone from her own history may have been targeting her all along transforms the situation from a simple threat into something far more psychologically complex and deeply personal. It suggests that the past is not only resurfacing, it may have been waiting silently all along for the right moment to reveal itself. As all these storylines converge, the emotional pressure building across Los Angeles becomes almost unbearable, with every character standing unknowingly on the edge of change. Hope's future, Elektra's confusion, Dylan's fear, Sheila's schemes, and the growing fractures within multiple relationships are all slowly tightening into a single web of consequences. Nothing remains isolated anymore. Every decision affects someone else, and every secret carries the potential to explode into something far larger than intended. The world of the bold and the beautiful feels more interconnected than ever, where even the smallest choice can trigger a chain reaction of heartbreak and betrayal. And as the week moves forward, one thing becomes increasingly clear. No one is truly safe from what is coming next. Whether it is Sheila's calculated return, Hope's life-altering decision, or the emotional unraveling of hidden relationships, each storyline is moving toward a collision point that promises irreversible change. The calm that once existed is gone, replaced by anticipation, tension, and the uneasy sense that every character is standing on the edge of something they cannot control. As the tension continues to build across Los Angeles, the fragile balance holding each storyline together begins to shift even further, pulling every character closer to moments they can no longer avoid. The emotional pressure surrounding Hope Logan's decision grows heavier by the day, and what once felt like a professional opportunity is now turning into a deeply personal crossroads that affects far more than her career. The idea of leaving Forrester Creations is no longer just a possibility. It feels like a decision that could permanently reshape relationships she has spent years building. Every conversation she has now carries a quiet sense of finality, as if the people around her can already sense that something important is slipping away. Even Hope herself seems caught between two worlds, one tied to her past at Forrester, and another pointing toward an uncertain but tempting future at Logan. At Forrester Creations, the atmosphere grows increasingly strained as whispers of Hope's potential departure begin to spread through the building. What starts as speculation quickly turns into concern, and then into frustration, as different members of the family begin to imagine what her decision would mean for the company's identity. Brooke finds herself torn between loyalty to her daughter and the complicated history she shares with the Forrester family, while Steffi's frustration simmers just beneath the surface, ready to erupt at the slightest provocation. Ridge watches it all unfold with a sense of growing concern, aware that this decision could reopen old wounds that never fully healed. Zende and Eric, too, feel the ripple effect, understanding that Hope's exit would not just be a change in staff, but a symbolic break in the fragile unity they have tried to maintain. Meanwhile, Liam Spencer finds himself increasingly caught in the emotional aftermath of what Hope is considering. His concern is not only about the professional consequences, but also about the emotional fallout that will inevitably follow if she chooses to walk away. He fears the reaction from Steffi, knowing how quickly old rivalries can resurface when tensions rise. And he worries about Hope being pulled back into conflicts she has spent so long trying to escape. Yet despite all of his fears, Liam is also painfully aware that he cannot make this decision for her. That realization leaves him in a difficult emotional position, where support and worry coexist in constant conflict. In the end, his love for Hope pushes him toward acceptance, even if it comes with uncertainty about what their future might look like. As Hope edges closer to a decision, Bill Spencer continues to move with confidence behind the scenes, believing he may be able to reshape the situation in ways that benefit both Logan and his own interests. With his attorneys working on the possibility of breaking or restructuring Hope's contract, Bill envisions a future where Hope for the Future is reborn under a new direction. To him, it represents not just a business opportunity, but a strategic move that could shift power dynamics within the fashion world once again. His influence adds another layer of pressure to an already complicated situation, making Hope's decision feel even more significant and far-reaching. What may begin as a career change could quickly escalate into a corporate power struggle with emotional consequences attached to every move. At the same time, Elektra Forrester's emotional conflict refuses to settle, as her hidden connection with RJ continues to exist beneath the surface of her relationship struggles. Each moment she spends trying to move forward with Will becomes more complicated by the unresolved feelings and secret encounters she shares with RJ. The emotional contradiction weighs heavily on her, creating a growing sense of confusion that makes every decision feel increasingly impossible. Will's desire to rebuild what they had clashes directly with the reality of Elektra's divided heart, setting the stage for heartbreak no matter what choice is made. The longer this situation continues, the more inevitable it becomes that someone will be hurt when the truth finally comes out. And just as these emotional entanglements grow more complicated, Dylan's terrifying ordeal continues to cast a shadow over Forrester Creations. The memory of the stalker's sudden appearance behind the dress rack lingers like a nightmare she cannot wake up from, leaving her constantly on edge. Every new detail that surfaces about the stalker's identity only deepens the mystery, especially as the possibility of Remy Price's involvement becomes more real. If the connection between Remy and Dylan is as personal as hinted, then what once seemed like harassment may actually be rooted in a long and painful shared history. That realization transforms the entire situation into something far more emotionally complex, where fear and familiarity become dangerously intertwined. As all these threads continue to tighten, the world of the bold and the beautiful moves closer to a breaking point where every hidden truth is on the verge of exposure. Hope's decision, Elektra's secret, Dylan's mystery, and Sheila's looming sabotage are all converging into a single storm of consequences waiting to erupt. No storyline exists in isolation anymore. Each choice feeds into another, creating a chain reaction of emotional fallout that no one can fully predict. The sense of control that characters once believed they had is slowly slipping away, replaced by uncertainty and anticipation. And as the week edges toward its climax, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Everything is about to change. Relationships will be tested beyond repair. Secrets will surface in devastating ways, and alliances will shift without warning. Whether it is Sheila's hidden agenda finally taking shape or Hope's life-altering decision reaching its conclusion, the coming moments promise to reshape the entire landscape of their world. Nothing will remain the same once these choices are made, and everyone will soon discover just how far the consequences of a single decision can reach. As the tension tightens even further, the week moves toward a point where restraint begins to fade and consequences start to take shape in real time. Every character in Los Angeles now feels like they are standing on unstable ground, where even the smallest decision could tip everything into chaos. Hope Logan's situation, once a matter of professional ambition, now feels like the emotional center of a much larger storm. The pressure surrounding her decision continues to intensify as she weighs loyalty against independence, history against opportunity, and comfort against risk. What once felt like a simple career choice has transformed into something far more personal, as if every path forward carries an emotional cost she cannot fully escape. At Forrester Creations, the anticipation surrounding Hope's decision reaches a breaking point, with the entire atmosphere shifting into one of quiet dread and unspoken tension. Employees begin to sense that something irreversible is about to happen, and that sense alone is enough to unsettle the entire building. Brooke Logan finds herself emotionally divided, struggling between supporting her daughter's autonomy and fearing the fallout that will inevitably come from the Forrester family's reaction. Steffi Forrester Finnegan, on the other hand, is increasingly unable to hide her frustration, as the idea of Hope potentially walking away feels like both a professional and personal betrayal. Ridge Forrester watches the situation unfold with growing concern, recognizing that no matter what Hope chooses, the emotional damage will extend far beyond her immediate circle. Even Eric Forrester, with his long history of navigating family conflicts, senses that this moment carries carries a weight that could reshape the company's internal dynamics for a long time to come. Meanwhile, Liam Spencer remains trapped in an emotional space where concern and helplessness collide. His worries about hope are no longer theoretical. They feel immediate, personal, and deeply tied to the future they once envisioned together. He understands the risks involved if she leaves Forrester Creations, especially the likelihood of renewed conflict with Steffi and the emotional turbulence that could follow. Yet despite all of his fears, Liam also recognizes that holding her back would not protect her happiness. That realization leaves him in a painful position where support becomes the only honest option, even if it means stepping back from the stability he wishes he could preserve. His quiet acceptance adds another layer of emotional depth to an already fragile situation. Elsewhere, Bill Spencer continues moving with calculated confidence, convinced that he can shape the outcome in a way that benefits both Hope and his own ambitions. Behind the scenes, his legal efforts intensify as he pushes toward freeing Hope from her current obligations, viewing the situation as an opportunity to rebuild the Hope for the Future brand under the Logan name. His involvement brings a sense of corporate power into what has largely been an emotional struggle, blurring the line between business strategy and personal influence. For Hope, this adds yet another layer of complexity, as she finds herself pulled not just between people, but between entire worlds of power and identity. Every direction now feels like it carries consequences far beyond what she originally imagined. At the same time, Electra Forrester's emotional conflict reaches a deeper level of instability as her hidden relationship with RJ continues to quietly undermine her attempts to move forward with Will Spencer. Each interaction with Will becomes increasingly complicated as guilt and uncertainty begin to surface more frequently in her thoughts. The connection she still shares with RJ refuses to fade, lingering in ways that make honesty feel increasingly out of reach. Will, determined to rebuild trust, remains unaware of the full truth, but the emotional distance growing between them becomes harder to ignore. The situation evolves into a fragile emotional triangle where every moment of silence feels more meaningful than words, and where avoidance is no longer sustainable. As Electra struggles internally, Dylan's storyline continues to escalate in intensity, with the mystery surrounding her stalker taking on an even more disturbing edge. The incident at Forrester Creations is no longer just a frightening memory, it has become a turning point that reshapes how she views her safety, her past, and the people around her. The possibility that Remy Price may be connected to her history introduces a chilling sense of familiarity to the threat she is facing. If the connection between them is rooted in childhood or family ties, then the stalking takes on a far more psychological dimension, transforming fear into something deeply personal and emotionally unsettling. The idea that someone from her own past may be responsible for her current trauma creates a narrative where the past is not just returning, it is actively reaching into her present life with dangerous intent. As all of these emotional threads tighten, Sheila Carter continues to operate in the background with quiet precision, watching, waiting, and preparing her next move. Her focus on Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes remains steady, as she begins to position herself in ways that could destabilize their growing relationship without immediate detection. There is a calculated patience in her approach, as if she understands that timing is everything, and that emotional cracks must be exploited at exactly the right moment. Deacon and Taylor, unaware of how closely they are being observed, continue to believe they are building something stable, even as unseen forces begin to gather around them. Sheila's presence, though not always visible, becomes an increasingly dangerous undercurrent in their story. As the week pushes forward, the interconnected nature of every storyline becomes impossible to ignore. Hope's decision, Electra's secret, Dylan's mystery, and Sheila's manipulation are all converging toward a shared point of emotional volatility. No character is truly isolated anymore, and every choice made in one corner of this world sends ripple effects into another. The sense of control that once guided these lives is steadily dissolving, replaced by unpredictability and emotional urgency. And as everything moves closer to its breaking point, one truth becomes undeniable. The calm that once existed is gone for good. What remains is a landscape defined by uncertainty, shifting loyalties, and emotional consequences that cannot be undone. The coming moments are not just about decisions anymore. They are about outcomes that will permanently alter relationships, redefine alliances, and leave lasting scars across every corner of their intertwined lives.